Hey everyone,
it's Raychelle
and Chris
from
Simply See the World.
Today we are in gorgeous Dubrovnik again, so lucky us. And it is a beautiful, beautiful February day. But today we're talking about
house sitting. It's something that we've done for 6 months of our time on the road so far, and during that time we spent $0 on housing. So we want to share some of our stories about that and pro tips today. So stick around after the intro and we'll get right into it.
See you in a minute.
And welcome back, everyone. We are going to hop right into it today. We promised you we'd talk about house sitting, so let's get started. But right before that, in case you're not familiar with us, thanks for joining our channel. We're Chris and Raychelle Boltman, and we've been traveling the world for almost 10 months now. And yeah, it's gone by fast, hasn't it? But we were working 9-to-5 jobs in Indiana, and had everything we ever wanted as far as, house, cars, and all the trappings of modern life, if you will. But we knew there was more to life, and we wanted to do something while we were relatively young that a lot of people maybe never get to do, and that's travel the world. So lo and behold, we decided to do it, and that's what we've been doing ever since. So thanks for joining us. If you're having fun with us today, be sure to like and subscribe below.
Why is house sitting important? Well, it is what got our travel dreams started. We did not have a ton of money saved up, and I remember the first time I heard about house sitting, we were on a cruise with Chris's family, and one of the people standing at the bar behind us was like, yeah, we're just taking this cruise until our next house sit in Australia.
We're like,
and Chris and I were like, huh?
What?
You take a cruise before you go house sit? So we started looking into it, and we're like, you can live for free, you can travel the world. Why not start that way? We can start traveling sooner because we don't have to save up as much money before we leave.
Yep.
So for 6 months of our journey, we house sat.
Yeah.
So we had 6 months of house sitting, 9 assignments. We went to 5 countries. How many animals did we have?
At the time we had 9 dogs, 10 cats, 2 ducks, 2 rabbits, and 2 chickens dispersed over those assignments. And particularly one, a lot of those animals were at, and we'll talk about that farm sit. Might be something that floats your boat, and it might not be. So we'll get into that.
Just to say, this is part 1 of a 2-part series. So today we're just going to tell you how to get started. How do you even figure out about house sitting? How do you get your information out there? How do you start finding the perfect house sit? So we're going to talk about that today, and then stay tuned for next week where we talk to you about some pro tips that we have, some things you can expect when you're house sitting, and just some ways to make your life easier, because it sounds great on paper, but it does have its pros and cons, and we want to share those with you as well.
Absolutely. There's some things that you want to consider before getting started, and we also will share some stories on part 2 about how we've house sat and what we've gotten into.
Had some adventures. Yes, some adventures and some hard lessons learned.
Yes, but overall it's a very positive experience, so we want to share this information with you. Well, let's get into it. So the very first step of house sitting, what do you do?
So house sitting is a web-based matching system, essentially. So you find house sits through websites. Now, depending on where you would travel or where you want to go, will help you pick what website you would like to use. Are you going to stay regionally, globally, specifically Australia, New Zealand? They have very specific house sitting sites. We chose 2 that we love. So Mind My House, which has fewer selections, but also some really interesting ones.
Absolutely.
And then Trusted House Sitters has a ton. It's huge. It's probably the biggest one available. But they're more just generic house sits.
Global. By generic, we mean all locations.
Yeah. So those were the 2 that we chose. You basically pay an annual fee, and you get to get a profile on that site. You build up your profile, and then you can start reaching out to people that have things you want to see. The house you want to sit, an animal that you want to watch, place you want to go.
So basically what you have going on is you have homeowners who are looking for someone to take care of their property, and you have you who's looking to stay somewhere for free in an interesting part of the world. So this website allows you both to match, but stay tuned because it's a two-way street, and we want to make sure that you find a great match, not just a match. So the very first thing, what are your travel goals? Now, we'll say on Trusted House Sitters and Mind My House, we were able to see plenty of house sits from Australia and New Zealand. It's not specialized in only that. So determine what you want to do.
Yeah, and also mostly for Trusted House Sitters, you're going to find places in the UK, in Ireland, really, and the US. Those are kind of the top places. We did one in Andorra.
Yeah.
Andorra was
everyone we've done is through Trusted House Sitters, except for the 2-month long in Spain. Awesome. That was through Mind My House. But one other major thing to consider is cost, because there is a cost to get started and make a profile on most house sitting websites. Now, cost, of course, stings a little bit because you have to pay money. However, it does narrow it down to the people who are serious. You're not going to get a bunch of spam on these websites. It's people who really want to find quality help, and quality help that really wants to find good people. And everyone's reviewed both sides, the homeowner and the house sitter. So any shenanigans go down, basically the bad people weed themselves out pretty quickly on these websites. So you can read their reviews, they can read your reviews, and we'll talk more about setting up your profile here in a bit. And besides cost, and we'll tell you, Trusted House Sitters is around $100 US a year, and that is kind of on the pricier side.
It's a higher end one for sure.
But it has a fantastic interface and a wonderful mobile app that we really like. And if you're curious about either of these, just look at the description below. You can probably get a discount with our link that we'll post down there. With Mind My House, it's a more simple interface. It still gets the job done, but there's no mobile app. So it just depends on how you're going to use this as well.
And it is a good idea to have a couple if you can, especially if you're very flexible and you want to just see what's available. I don't recommend having more than 3. That's kind of a lot to balance, but 2 was a good match for us always being able to stay booked when we wanted to be. So the next step then is creating a profile, and this step is extremely important.
The most important thing, probably.
Because the only way these people are going to know you is through your profile. For us, when we started this, we didn't have any reviews we could just put up there because we were new to the site. So you really have to make your profile stand out from everybody else's. What makes you a better house sitter than the other thousands of people that are on the website? It's
just like getting a job. And it really is getting a job in a way, because you're going to be responsible for probably the lives of animals, which is kind of a high gravity situation, and watching a home, which also comes with some responsibilities. So just like you would want your LinkedIn profile to look great, professional picture, you on a piece of paper, if people understand who you are as a brand, what you represent, your values, that's the type of thing you're going to want to convey in your house sitting profile as well. So what's that mean?
Keeping it professional is huge. LinkedIn is a good example of how you should approach this. And having a professional picture with an animal is huge. We've talked to a lot of the people that we've house sit for, and they've turned people down because their pictures were just like Facebook pictures almost, like them just out drinking and having fun. Like, that is not the type of person that, even if you would be a great house sitter, that's not the type of person that you want to entrust your fur babies with and your home while you're on vacation. So keep that in mind. Make your profile seem like you're professional, responsible. You can get along with animals, so the more pictures you have with animals, the better.
If you don't have an animal of your own, go borrow one from a friend. Go to your friend's house and get some great pictures. And I would argue probably get a picture with a dog, because if you can maintain a dog, they're kind of more maintenance than a cat. So you're probably already going to tick the box with the cat people if you get a picture with a dog. Just saying.
Because cats are a lot easier to take care of, and we'll get into that next week on our part 2 of this series.
So we really recommend also shooting a video in your About Me or your profile.
You don't have to do this, but it sets you one step above other people. They can actually see how you interact.
Exactly. You're shopping for a car, for example. If you get to see a video of that car starting up and you hear it running, like, don't you already trust that car a little bit more than just a picture of it? The same thing goes with your profile for house sitting. They get to hear you, they get to see you, hopefully maybe interacting with an animal. petting a dog would be a perfect thing to do while you're doing your short 45-second intro video.
And just do it once. Just do a quick one. It doesn't have to be perfect. Don't spend a ton of time on it. Just let them get to know who you are and hear your voice and kind of see your personality a little bit, because this is a nerve-wracking thing for them as well, as they're trying to find somebody to come that they've never met before, that they trust to watch their house for. Our first house sit was 2 months long. They had never met us before and trusted that we would take care of their animals.
Right.
So it is a big deal. It's stressful.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure you come across as somebody that's going to do an above great job. Excellent job.
So highlight your skills. For example, Raychelle's dad is a veterinarian, and she's grown up around animals and actually has helped on some procedures, just watched, for example. Not that we're advocating for doing any veterinary work on animals, just saying that is a relevant skill set. She's very familiar with animals from her childhood.
And I have a resource. If I am in a pinch when we're house sitting, I can call my dad and ask him a question, and that's pretty invaluable when you're watching somebody's animals, for them to know that you have somebody you can reach out to, and they always leave you their veterinarian's number and stuff. But having that personal source where I can just do a quick text, say, hey, what should I do about this, is really reassuring to homeowners. And if you don't have that, just showing your experience with animals, that you're comfortable around them.
Maybe you did a summer camp where you were around horses, for example, and you spent a whole summer getting familiar with horses, or you grew up on a farm, or you know how to, if you're wanting to express the value of the chores you can do, because some assignments do want you to do some chores like mowing grass or tending to a garden.
Right.
Maybe you've had a successful garden, or you brought your stuff to a farmer's market every weekend for a summer.
And that's huge for these house sits.
Maybe you successfully have had an aquarium, like a decent sized aquarium, and not killed fish for years.
Keeping fish alive is hard.
They're very picky, aren't they? So, maybe it's reptiles and amphibians. So just think about what your specific skill sets are that will make you stand out from others. Another thing is references. Now, within Trusted House Sitters, you're going to find that the references are actually built into the interface. So they're going to be able to see the past reviews of you, probably from the get-go. And we'll get into a strategy you can use to get on the board with some reviews right away. So stay tuned for that.
When you're picking out references, don't pick your mom to be your reference, right? Unless you've spent a lot of time watching her animals. Think of people, like for me in college, I stayed over at a coworker's house for a week and watched her 2 pugs.
Right.
So I had her write a review for us, because those are the people that your house sitters want to see reviews from, not, oh, my mom thinks I'm responsible. Like, well, most people's moms do. But like, what have you done that is outside of that realm? And just think outside the box. If you babysat somebody's kids, you kept kids alive. So you can probably be okay with a dog, especially if you have familiarity. So have somebody write a review on that aspect. But the more references you have, the better off you're going to be.
And a former boss of mine wrote, well, she actually knew you too, because you taught at the school as well, but she wrote us a just kind of character reference. So those are important as well. The main thing is you want to shine. What separates you from the rest of people? Is it skills? Is it professionalism? Is it an awesome profile picture with an animal, with an animal, with an animal, or an awesome about us or about you video? We come as a package, so it's an about us for us. And just highlight your skills. That's the main thing.
Because a lot of the feedback we've gotten from house sitters is we picked you because you're a couple and because you're young, but by young they meant you're physically fit. You're able to do the job.
Is that there is quite a bit of ageism on these websites, because they do kind of want a Goldilocks type person. Like, you're not too young and you're not too social, so that you're being irresponsible.
You're not gonna go party the whole time.
And you're not too old or physically unable to take care of animals. And you're healthy. Like, they need someone who's going to be there and going to be stable, and probably doesn't need to go to the doctor or hospital because they're having problems. And if you're super young and look like somebody who shows up wasted at a hostel.
Right.
I mean, I have long hair. Just saying, I have to combat some of these hippie ideas.
So our
as
profile
well.
had to be really, really good because of this hair. No, it's just important to show that you're going to take care of the animals, that you're going to be responsible, and that you're going to be that is your priority. They want to know that the animals are your priority. It's not, oh, there's an awesome house sit in Amsterdam and I'm just going to stay at their house and leave their animals unattended. Like, you have to prove that you are going to be there and that the animals are your focus. But there is a possibility, and they're usually very competitive, that you find a house sit where all they really want you to do is stay at their house. Now that is a pretty awesome house sit if you're in a place that you want to explore. But there are very few and they're competitive. So until you get your profile built up, you're just going to have to know what type of animals you want to care for, essentially.
And we'll get into those specifics on those types of house sits in part 2. So be sure to tune in for part 2. So let's do a quick recap. So first of all, you need to make a profile on a website, and really you need to pick a website first. It can be regional in focus or it can be global in focus. So make sure to think about that and spend your money wisely, because you're probably going to have to purchase your year-long membership or quarterly. Just be sure to read the fine print. All the ones we belong to are yearly. So then when you're creating a profile, let's just recap this real fast.
So 4 main things to consider, right? Appearing professional. Have a professional picture with what in it?
An animal.
And just so you know, our main profile pic is just a pic of the 2 of us, but then we added photos in there. So if you pull up our profile and you're like, well, they don't have an animal, our main one is not, but our other pictures include animals in them. So that's what we're saying. Include more than just one picture of yourself and make sure at least some of them have animals in them. Number 2, you need to have a video. It's just that next little step. It's going to set you apart from the people that don't have it, and it's super easy to do.
Smartphone, one take.
One take.
No edit.
Exactly.
Just keep it simple.
Highlight your skills, all of them. Anyone you're willing to do on a house sit, write it down. And then lastly is get some references. So show people that you're responsible, that you have a good character, and that you're going to do a great job. So those are the 4 main things. And if you guys have any questions about this, please put it in the comments. We'd love to help you if you want us to read through a profile review or a profile, or if you want us to answer some questions about which pictures you should use, please put them in below. We'd be happy to help you, because we know it's stressful and we want you to succeed if this is something that you really want to do, because it can make your travel dreams a reality, which is really cool.
All right, so next up, you're going to want to find some local sits to build your credibility, your credit score for house sitting. Because if you haven't ever house sat before, the homeowners aren't going to know what your track record is. So first thing, after you get your profile and interface set up, go ahead and book some local house sits. So
for us, we live in Indianapolis, and about 30 minutes south of the city was a house sit. It was the only one close by, but we knew we wanted to go abroad and use house sitting abroad. And so we were like, well, we're not gonna get our first, we'll never get our first house sit if we don't have some reference, some review here. So we drove 30 minutes and we stayed at this house for a week and watched some animals, got a review, and had our first review, 5 stars. Okay, we're at least on the board. We're not going to be somebody's first, and that can be really nerve-wracking when you're expecting somebody to fly across the ocean to house sit for you and they have no reviews. 0 reviews. It's like staying at an Airbnb where nobody has reviews, or you're like, am I going to be the first one to venture here, or maybe I'm just going to use one that already has reviews.
The other nice thing about doing some local sits before you start your house sitting
adventure
is that it helps you get to know what you like. And if you haven't had a whole lot of experience with animals, starting to get experience with animals will help you understand what you like. And we'll talk about some of our best practices and what we've come to find out in part 2, so stick around for that. Getting those local sits builds credibility. It's great practice. and you get to know what you like and what, importantly, you don't like in a house sit.
Now you're ready to start just perusing through the websites, and it's overwhelming because there are thousands of house sits, especially if you are not narrowed down to a specific location or a time, which when we first started, we weren't. We had we could do whatever we wanted.
Right, we're really flexible.
So the main thing is picking out some things that you know you want, and also figuring out where you want to go is probably the easiest way to narrow it down. If not, it's going to be really overwhelming, and it's going to be hard to find exactly what you're looking for.
Yeah, and you might have to sacrifice a little bit. Like if you really want to go to London, then do you have to be downtown London, or can you be in a suburb and maybe take the train in when you want to go see the town?
Yeah.
Or it's downtown, but it's got 6 dogs.
Yeah.
Do you really want to watch 6 dogs just to be downtown?
You don't want to watch 6 dogs.
So think about that. That's the type of stuff you're going to be looking for during your search, those very specific details. And you can filter as well. You can filter by animal, you can filter by home type. Does it include the use of a car, which is pretty important for some sits if they're really rural.
Yeah.
There's all these different types of filters, so start to tinker with those.
Location is important. So think about what you want. Where do you want to be within your house sit?
I think also it'd probably be important to mention, we skipped a little bit ahead to what you're looking for in a house sit. We might want to tell you how to apply to a house sit. Within these interfaces, you can literally message, and you'll want to customize it, but you can probably have a copy-paste kind of template that you use and then nudge the details and make it personalized.
Personalize it, yeah.
Use the homeowner's first name and use the pets' names as well. It shows that you've read the profile, right?
And
so
you paid attention.
Right.
Personalize. Even if you have one paragraph that you personalize and everything else stays the same, that's a pretty easy way to do it. But
exactly.
Hey, we're very excited to watch over Chloe and Dexter for this week. Thanks for, we're excited for this town. That paragraph can be personalized. You change it for everyone, but the rest can just be about your skills and your personality and what you're excited about. Yeah,
and it can be pretty brief. You can direct them to look at your profile. Like you can say, here's a few teasers about what I represent and what I'm skilled at. Be sure to check my profile.
And knowing that once you apply doesn't mean if they like your application that you're set in that. You have time to converse with them. You applying to them is just basically telling them that you're interested. Then they'll look at your profile and they'll either come back with you and say, sorry, this house sit's taken, or hey, we're interested. Then the next step is set up a Skype interview. This is where the two-way street really comes in, because not only do they want to make sure you're a good fit, but you want to make sure that they're a good fit for you as well. Like that you're going to get along with their personality, because even though they're not going to be there, homeowners can be difficult sometimes, and
we're all quirky, right? The only difference is that you're the help, so they win, kinda.
So you want to make sure that their quirks are something that you can handle and that you want to deal with. And we were very lucky in our house sits that all of the people that we house sit for were really nice, but there were some situations where we had different ideas on how things should go, and if maybe we had a discussion before we went, we might have realized that on the front end and maybe would have chosen a different house sit.
So think of the questions you want to ask, just generally, that you should probably ask every time on a Skype interview, but then also those specific questions that you've gotten from reading the profile. How much medicine, how often do I have to administer the medicine to that elderly dog? Things of that nature. Those are the things that change your daily life on that house sit.
So a big one is it says you need a car. A lot of the descriptions say house sitter must have a car. Now, we've had conversations with house sitters and saying we don't have a car, we're very interested and we're willing to walk, and they're like, oh, well, if you're willing to walk a mile, then you'll be fine. Well, okay, then you don't actually need a car, or if you're willing to use public transportation, you don't need a car.
But listed in their profile on their house sit that they're advertising, it says you must have a car, but you really don't need one. So those are the types of details, like what does need a car mean? What does not need a car. I mean.
Right. Are you 5 miles from town, or
Right.
are you a mile to just the bus stop and then there's an hour bus to town? Like, what are you willing to give up for your house sit? And those are the questions you want to figure out on the front end before you agree.
Right.
Do not feel pressured to accept a house sit,
Yeah.
because you want to make sure that it is what you want, because
Absolutely.
we picked some that we now, looking back, would have done better research on and would have asked better questions on. So this is passed on to you from trial and error.
And also, this is a little off topic, but not really. You might be noticing that, right now we're staying at an Airbnb in Croatia.
Yeah.
And there's a couple reasons for that. One is house sits are typically clustered in areas where people are typically wealthier, I will say. I'll just say it.
Right.
And that take vacations more often.
Yes.
Right? Because that's kind of the two things. One, they have assets that they want you to watch, and they leave those assets on vacation. So Croatia, there's not as much as that going on. There are house sits here, but there's just less.
Right.
So some of the places you want to visit just might not have house sits available, and that's okay, because you'll also notice that, like, for example, in Albania last month, we got an Airbnb for a month for $230.
Right. And we had zero responsibility to any animals or homeowners, and so you might consider mixing it up more than we did initially. For us, it was a financial thing where we needed to house sit because we wanted to save money so we could travel longer.
Right.
But ultimately, we got a little burnt out. We will do house sitting again. We'll be very, very picky, and we will keep it mixed up with Airbnbs, and you can do couch surfing. There's all kinds of different things you can do, workaways. So keep
we'll
that
put
in
those
mind.
links in here as well. Other things to think about with your house sits is, like you said, location. How social is it going to be? Are you are you really rural, or are you going to be able to talk to other people, especially if you're a single person? It can be kind of lonely on house sitting assignments, so be sure that you pick one that's going to align with your social goals. Let's go ahead and give a couple pro tips, and we'll go deep into pro tips on part 2.
Right.
So let's say it on 3 together.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. No puppies. 0.
We cannot express this to you enough. They are cute.
Yes.
They are so cuddly. They have so much energy and chew things up.
And they're not potty trained, potentially.
Not potty trained. We just don't do puppies.
Yeah.
It's too much work. It's unless you are like, I do not want to leave this place, and my only goal is to play with puppy the entire week. Then maybe do one. But if you're just like, no, I want a nice relaxing house sit with one animal, that's fine. But if that animal's a puppy, you just signed up for 3 animals.
That's a full-time job. And we'll also say, as much as we feel for these little animals, is elderly and sick animals are also a lot of work. They're basically puppies, but in a different way. They require the same type of attention. They just have maybe less energy.
And they come with more stress too, because you're always worried about them. We started filtering by the age, so it had to be like 2 years old, and it had to be less than like 8 years old. Because that is the magic time where the chances of something happening are less, right?
And I know that sounds unfortunate, but we're just a little selfish, to be honest. Like, we want to have an enjoyable time. And that's kind of just a non-negotiable for us.
Right.
Make sure that you're mentally prepared for caring for the animals. They will require a lot of attention often. And if you're just not really there, then don't do it. Like, for us, we're not necessarily like the world's biggest animal lovers. We do love animals, and I mean, as we walk through the city streets here in Dubrovnik, we're like, oh, kitty, But that being said, like, house sitting for us is more of a means to an end. We want to see the world, and we want to do it on a budget. And we happen to like animals. It's in that order, right? It's not, oh my gosh, I love animals. How can I spend more time with animals who are strangers to me? It's not that. And that's okay. You just have to like them and care for them when you say you're gonna. That's kind of it. Speaking of, never never walk away from a house sit. If you've signed up, unless it's an unsafe situation and you've done your best due diligence to make sure the animals are cared for, and you just need to get away because maybe someone's doing something unsafe, that's a different story.
Right. Just never walk out. We heard a horror story from one of our favorite house sits, but apparently something happened and she just left. And she called the homeowner on vacation and said, hey, I'm leaving. And the homeowner on vacation had to scramble to find somebody to come take care of her dogs, one of which is on insulin, so needs injections twice a day. Well, it did ruin her vacation too. Because the homeowner's vacation, because it just put a huge stress on her. So if you commit to something, follow through and never cancel last minute either, unless something crazy happens. But if you just change your mind, too bad, you already committed. So keep that in mind when you agree to a house sit. It isn't a legal agreement, but giving your word to them is really important. So don't agree unless you're serious about it.
Mind My House has a sample form if you feel better about a written agreement. All of ours have just kind of been digital handshake agreements,
Right.
But there is a form that you guys can fill out with the homeowner.
That is true,
and it formalizes it, and it might be a good idea if that makes you feel better.
So it is an option, but for us, we never had. We only had one person cancel on us last minute. And it was very frustrating, but it forced us to try out some things we might not have. So in the end, it was okay, but it was really not a nice thing to do for us because we'd already bought plane tickets and everything. So just be respectful of the person that you're house sitting for. And also, we say all these things, but some of the best people that we've met on our trips have been the homeowners. So we have made some really cool friends along the way. So also knowing the person that you're house sitting for, in a sense of Skyping them and chatting with them before the house sit, getting to know them will enhance both of your experiences. And I mean, to the point where we stayed a couple extra days at a couple of our house sits just to hang out with them, and they were nice enough to let us stay. So there are lots of advantages that come with it as well.
Going back to the last minute cancellation, is as a house sitter, have just an idea of a backup plan,
or a little money put aside that you can use in a pinch or something.
Exactly. Like, always hope for the best and expect the worst. I hate how negative that sounds, but it is a good policy when traveling. Because, for example, that homeowner might cancel last minute. Maybe they have a health emergency, or their vacation was canceled on them potentially. Who knows? So is it a hostel you're going to? Is it a hotel? Are you going to cancel your flight if you're flying in? So just kind of think about what that looks like. That'll help you. We
should talk about dates when you choose to. So you're going to look at location, you're going to look at what type of animals they have as you're filtering through, and then you're going to look at when they need a house sitter. This is a little deceiving, and we've learned this the hard way as well, to the point where we had to travel separately to one house sit.
That was a doozy.
Because we had committed and didn't realize the timeline. But always, please do this. Consider one day on each end of the house sit that you may still have to be there. My point is this: most house sitters want you to come a day before they leave so they can show you around and tell you some things. We've had some house sitters ask us to be there 3 days before. They want to make sure it's going to work out. They want to make sure that you're going to be a good fit with the animal, that the animal has time to warm up to you. So consider at least 1 or 2 days on the front end. And then on the back end, what if they get home on the 13th at midnight, right? So they say they need you until the 13th. And you're like, sweet, I can start another house sit on the 13th. No, because they're not getting until midnight. And a lot of times you don't know that on the front end. So you actually aren't going to leave till the 14th. And that's what happened to us, is we booked something and then they ended up coming back later. So just allow a little flexibility on both ends. Because a lot of people are still trying to finalize their plans. They're just kind of putting in a range of dates. And we didn't realize that when we first started booking house sits. But you need to make sure that you know exactly when you need to be there and exactly when you can leave, especially if you're going to book something on either end of that. Just don't shortchange yourself. Just like they need to know that their house and pets are taken care of, you need to know the exact dates and times and have the expectations on your end. It's a two-way street. It's so important. That is a huge point. It is a two-way street. You need to be happy and they need to be happy. And If one side is not happy, it is not going to be a good house sit. So I want to just throw this out there too. We're talking about house sitting as a long-term way to travel the world, but there are house sits in the United States. If you really just want a vacation and you're like, we don't have that much money to go stay somewhere, there are some beautiful house sits in the US that you're like, oh, maybe I'll just go stay in this villa in Colorado for the weekend and watch somebody's cat. You get to have a free vacation. So there are other uses for this, and you can use these tips for that as well. I know we've been talking about it in a manner of kind of making it kind of a lifestyle choice while traveling, but you can use these tips at home too. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we go somewhere in the States and stay at a house sit in order to go see a part of the US we haven't seen yet. So.
There are a ton of links in the description below. This is a link heavy webisode, so be sure to get down there and check those out. We're also going to be posting some links about what we carry with us around the world in our packing list. So check out that link if you're just curious to see what's in our bag. Also, if you've had any fun or learned anything at all, we would love for you to like and subscribe. So go ahead and click those down below. And we will see you next time on our weekly webisode series.
Yes.
Part 2 of house sitting is coming up.
Part 2.
Thanks for joining us.
See you next week.
Bye.
Out on the road, many miles from home, reading the scripture from the Rolling Stone. In a rock and roll rapture, we'll be driving in our van. Suddenly we'll disappear to the promised land. Oh yeah, we wanna be saved by the radio gods. Want them to help us rise above the odds. Wanna get down and be lifted up where you want.
All right, now that we're done with that segment, let's go to Culture by the Glass. And what do you say we go back to the balcony at our Airbnb for this one?
That sounds really fun.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
3, 2. Well, welcome to our balcony at our Airbnb. We promised you that we'd do a segment up here called Culture by the Glass. So let's get right into it. Today, our beverage of choice is Pawn. And it is a lager style beer here in Croatia. And think of it kind of as, just a mass market lager from the United States, such as a Budweiser. And it's for a tall boy, as we say in States, like this. It's a half liter, by the way. Our tall boys in the States are 16 ounces. Roughly the same. Semantics. It's about 7 kuna, which is about $1 US. So you'll see it for less, you'll see it for more. Just depends on which kind of store you're at. So let's try it out.
Yeah, let's try it.
Lovely assistant.
Yep.
Or actually, maybe I'm your assistant.
I'm pretty sure I'm the boss.
She's the boss of this operation.
We're on the balcony, so we don't have to drive home. So we can have a full pour.
Well, we get around by teleporting with finger snaps.
Oh,
babe.
yeah. I forgot. That's
we don't
right.
even need that.
This is amazing. So
on this beer, you're gonna notice it has kind of that typical lager look. And by the way, this is a Croatian beer. It is brewed by Carlsberg Group, which makes Carlsberg. So apples don't fall too far from the tree on this one. I have tried this once before, but let's see what it's like canned, because I've never had it
that's true.
canned. So let's see what we got here.
Smells like beer.
Okay.
Not a whole lot of flavor.
You know what though? I'm gonna say it's better from a can than a bottle. I think it's pleasant. It's the kind of beer that you're not gonna write home about, and no one's gonna get angry about either, though.
No, if you're kicking your feet up on a balcony on a beautiful day in the heat,
Yes.
it's a good beer for that.
Yes. The warmer the day and the colder this beer,
The better.
There's a strong correlation to that.
But for a cheap, kind of just basic beer, it's better than a lot that we've had since we've been traveling.
And we'll try to get some pictures of this, but very commonly you can find plastic 2 liters of beer in the Balkans.
And
so
wine.
that's funny. Yeah, there's some curious packaging, but it's kind of fun.
It is kind of fun.
So I'm thinking pair this with maybe, I'm gonna kind of what we did for lunch today.
Okay.
We did a baguette and with some sliced cheese and just little cured meats, which are very common here in Croatia. The ham, that is air cured, you know, kind of ham on a little bit. Like, it's not a Iberico ham. Let's not get crazy, but it is tasty, salty, oily.
Like a salami.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, you know, something like that with a little olive oil drizzle. So cheers to you guys, and maybe we'll take this back down to where we're filming. You want to teleport there?
I don't know if we can carry these with us.
Oh, that's true. It might get lost in the teleport.
I looked at the teleporting rules in Croatia, and you're not allowed to travel with beverages. So maybe we should just set these down to teleport?
Yeah.
Okay, ready?
1, 2,
3.
All right.
We made it. Thanks for joining us for Culture by the Glass. Hopefully you enjoyed. As you can see, we're back on the pier here, and we're ready for the next segment, which is my personal favorite.
Surprise question of the week. So in this segment, we both ask each other a question that neither of us have heard or know is coming. And it's a total surprise. It's a great way for us to answer some fun questions and for you to get to know us. So,
and for us to surprise each other.
Yeah, it's partly just selfish.
It's fun for us too.
All right.
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first, babe.
Okay.
So, you know, each week we do a Culture by the Glass segment.
Sure.
And we get to try some fun drinks that are relevant to different regions around the world. So my question for you this week is, since I gave you kind of a hard one last week, I'm going to give you a bit of a softball this week.
Thank you.
What would you say is your favorite, or maybe give me a top 2 or 3 if you need to. It's hard to choose your favorites. What's your favorite food, and what's your favorite beverage that you've never tried before this trip that you have tried within these since we've left home?
Okay. All right, well, let's start with a couple foods.
Okay.
So paella is really high on my list, and I had paella before, so this might not actually answer the question because I had it, but I hadn't had it quite like this, and that the squid ink pasta that we had in Valencia was awesome. So that's definitely one of my top foods that we've eaten.
That is awesome.
And we've had a lot of amazing tapas in Spain that were really, really delicious. Spanish tortillas were kind of a fun surprise. And then I think, so this is going to sound really strange, but it was Scotland, we had macaroni pies. And it's basically like every child's dream, which is like a pie crust in this little bitty dish filled with delicious macaroni and cheese. It was so good. It was way better than it should have been.
That is tasty.
So it might not be in my top, like my favorite foods we've had while we were here, but it was definitely one that stands out for me.
That's funny.
So I got to live my childhood dream during that moment. And as far as drinks go, we've had some really good coffees while we've been here. So I'm a huge wine fan. For my friends and family, they know I would probably be considered a wino. I've had some really awesome wines in Spain, some red wines specifically, and I really enjoyed Rocky.
Yeah,
I've enjoyed that.
It's a grape-based spirit here in the Balkans.
Yeah, we talked about it in I think Webisode 2, but it's been really good. It's a strong liquor, but it has a sweetness to it. And it's cool that like everybody makes their own version, which I enjoy. So I think that's my answer to your question.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's fun. I didn't see the macaroni and cheese coming, but it makes sense. You do love macaroni and cheese.
Yeah, it was a carb overload.
I mean, they're so cute too. They're usually pretty little.
Yeah, like this big.
They're fun. I mean, it's just fun stuff.
Yeah. Okay, my turn.
Uh-oh.
So last week he gave me a hardball, so here we go.
All right.
So, besides immediate family, which we are missing dearly at this point, so that would probably be the top answer for this question. So I'm going to eliminate it. If you could have dinner with one person now, dead or alive,
Okay.
today, here,
Okay.
who would it be?
Huh.
Famous or not famous? Family, not family, just not immediate family.
Okay. I would probably. Can I have two?
It's gonna break the budget, but that's fine.
I would probably go with my grandma and grandpa.
Okay.
Yeah, because they they were awesome. I miss them dearly. But also they have kind of some relatively fresh ties to Europe, and I think it would be fun to be in Europe with them, and especially Grandpa Frank, who served in World War II, and to the best of my knowledge, and I'm really actually very curious about this, I need to look it up, served in North Africa and Sicily and southern Italy, which is like just right over there from Croatia. And so that would be really interesting, but you know, especially being this age and chatting with them.
Right.
So not only would it be a really cool experience, it would probably be a pretty cool place to talk to them as well.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
If you still have grandparents, take this from us that just talk to them, ask them questions, and
Call
get to
them
know
on the
them.
phone.
Yeah, call them on the phone.
Don't text. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next time on our weekly webisode series.
Yes.
Part 2 of house sitting is coming up.
Part 2.
Thanks for joining us.
See you next week.
Bye. Yeah, me too. You guys.
And we're back.
Go for it.
All right, let me talk some.
Yeah, sorry.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Do you think so?
No, I don't think so. I think we're good.
No, but do you think so?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? He doesn't think so. We actually found a pretty good spot for this.
Yeah. We're location scouts, Bill. Hey everybody, just a quick housekeeping.
Hang on. I burped right when it started.
You little burper.
Sorry.
Of course, if you want to sit back and get some, here we go.
Woo! Outfit change.
Yeah. 5, 6, 1. Feel good.
2.
Hey everybody.
1, 2, 3.
Wanna get down and be lifted up. We want to drink some wine from the offering cups. Teaser cons. Takeaway. Okay.
Hey everyone. Oh,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
makes you a really bad person. Just
And-
keep that in mind. You're a bad person if you walk away from animals that you're supposed to be watching.
They're gonna rub your nose in it.
Maybe we could jump in,
Oh,
beside,
yeah.
like get out of the screen and be like, and then when we're on the balcony at the end, we can be like, and now back to the pier, and then we can pretend like we jump in.
Okay.
We made
What?
it.
1,